All right, this is Lab 5, the Functional Movement Screen, otherwise known as the FMS. The FMS is an innovative system used to evaluate movement pattern quality for clients and athletes. The tests consists of 7 fundamental movement patterns that require a balance of mobility and stability. These fundamental movement patterns are designed to provide observable performance in basic locomotor, manipulative, and stabilizing movements. The test placed an individual in extreme positions where weaknesses and imbalances become noticeable if appropriate stability and mobility is not utilized. Okay, first up, we have the deep squat. During this test, we're going to be analyzing the mobility of the ankle, the knee, and the hips, as well as abduction of the shoulder and flexion. What you're going to do during this exercise is grab a stick. For me, this is going to be a Swiffer handle. Usually you'd have I'm sure a wooden stick, more official. We're going to set up like we would for a normal squat. Feet about shoulder width apart, toes slightly flared out, whatever's more comfortable for you. You're going to come down by initiating a hip flexion movement. So hips are going back, knees are starting to bend. Arms are above our head, holding this bar straight out like this. Get ready to go into the squat while holding that bar above your head the entire time. Like this. From the side, it will look like this. So, according to the scoring criteria, I got a 3 because my heels did not come up off the ground when I did the squat. So I have no mobility issues in my ankle. If I did, it would probably look something like this. Also, my knees kept in line the entire time. There was no coming in, caving out, nothing like that. So that's going to be a perfect score of a 3. All right, next up, next test for our FMS is going to be the step hurdle. For the step hurdle, we're going to be analyzing the stability, mobility, and alignment of the hips, the knees, and the ankles. To get set up for this one, you're going to start by placing the bar over your shoulders behind your neck, like you would for a squat. Right, now that we're in this position, you're going to choose a stability leg. For me, that's going to be my left leg. Stability leg is going to stay planted on the ground, and you're going to raise the opposite leg. Like so. So this, what I'm demonstrating, is good alignment of the hips, stability in the left leg, and good mobility in all joints. This is going to be a score of a 3. What would reduce this score is if I lost alignment of my knee and my hips and my tibia and my ankle right there, if I started doing this, or if I lost alignment of the spine altogether and started collapsing. All right, our third test in the FMS is going to be the inline lunge. What this test is going to assess is stability and mobility of the shoulders, the torsos, and the hips, flexibility of the quadriceps, and stability of the knee. How you're going to set up for this is place your dowling behind you. With one arm, you're going to grab it in external rotation behind your head. The other arm is going to grab it in internal rotation behind your lower back. Right? So we're right here in this position. What you're going to do is lunge in line like so. So here I'm in a lunge position. Everything is in line. I feel steady. Torso is up. This is going to be a score of a 3. What would make it a reduced score is if, while I was in line, I could not keep my back straight and was forced to lean forward, meaning lack of mobility in my spine, maybe my hips. Or if altogether I couldn't even bring my knee to the ground and I was somewhere in this position. That would be a score of a 1. Okay, we have test number 4, the FMS. This is going to be shoulder mobility. Basically what you're going to do is using a meter stick, or it's not required, but if you're having trouble measuring, you can use a meter stick. What this test is going to analyze is scapular mobility as well as thoracic extension. So what you're going to do for this test is with one arm, you're going to execute abduction and external rotation, placing your fist as far behind your back in line with your spine as you can. The other arm is going to practice adduction, internal rotation, again in line with the spine. And you're going to see how close the fists are together. You're going to do this for both arms. I've already ran the test on myself for I just did this for demonstration purposes. As you can see, I'm about a 2. My fists are not within a hand length of each other. They're more about around 1.5 hand lengths. And according to the scoring criteria, that would give me a score of a 2. Anything more than a hand and a half in length would be a score of a 1. And anything within a hand's length is a score of a 3. All right, so this next test is going to be the active leg raise, where one leg is going to remain on the ground in a neutral position, while the other leg is going to remain extended, and we're going to raise that extended leg. You're going to use the malleolus of the ankle as a point of reference. When you lift the leg, wherever that malleolus is, you're going to pretend there's an imaginary vertical line going from the ground straight up to that malleolus. We're going to use that vertical line to determine where our score, depending on where in the leg is it. So if we're right here, the malleolus resides between the ankle and the knee joint. That's going to be a score of a 1. If we're right here, the malleolus almost lines up with the knee joint. That's going to be a score of a 2. And if we're able to go up here while the non-moving leg is still neutral, and the malleolus, if we were to draw a vertical line straight down, it would be in between my knee joint and my ACES. So that would be a score of a 3. So for this assessment on both legs, we would have a score of 3. All right. This is going to be our push-up trunk stability test. During this test, we're going to test for stability of the trunk in the sagittal plane during an upper extremity arm movement. So what you're going to do for this test specifically, it's different from a standard push-up. For this push-up, when you're getting set up, for males, you're going to make sure that your thumbs are aligned with the top of your head right here. For females, it's going to be at the chin, so a little lower, but still higher than your standard push-up. So we're going to have our hands aligned with the top of our head right here, stabilize the trunk, and do a push-up. So since I was able to complete it with no lags in the spine, and I with the thumbs at the top of the head, that would give me a score of a 3. All right, we're now on to the final and arguably the most difficult test of the FMS, which is the rotary stability test. We're gonna analyze stability of the trunk in multiple planes. Let me go ahead and show you how you get it set up. We're gonna start on all fours, like so. In order to get a maximum score of a 3 on this test, you will have to extend both your left arm and left leg, or it could be your right or your right appendages. I'm deciding on the left. You need to extend your left arm and left leg out, like so. Right here in this position, and bring your knee to your elbow. Like that. That's 1 repetition. 1 successful repetition gives you a score of a 3. Inability to complete that, you will be instructed to do a variation of that exercise, of that test, So instead of doing them on unilateral side, you'll be doing bilateral and opposite appendages. So what that means is instead of both your left appendages coming up, we're going to keep this right hand planted here. And instead of our left leg coming up, it's going to be our right leg. So left leg planted extend the left arm right here, bring it into your elbow to knee. That's 1 repetition. Completion of that will give you a score of 2. Inability to complete that will give you a score of 1. All right, so we just got done doing the 7-test functional movement screen, otherwise known as the FMS. I scored 3s on each test except for the shoulder mobility, where I scored a 2. That would yield a score of 20 out of 21. Let's say that means I'm pretty functional. For our specific population, or mine at least, it was a lower limb amputation, transtibial. There would not, maybe some modifications could be made to this test. However, with proper prosthetics, and if that subject is proficient in their prosthetic use, not much needs to be changed in terms of testing. All of it is still very valuable information. They still have 1 non-amputated leg, which can be assessed. And I don't believe any modifications need to be made from this functional movement screening. I think it actually might be more useful to put someone with a lower limb amputation through this functional movement screen to make sure they do have complete mobility after their incident, traumatic accident, what have you. Thank you for your time.